Ready for the Halloween perspectives?
Totally.
Alright, so you know the basic overall plot of the story. I mean, Michael escapes from the mental institution. How all those guys are out there with him, I don't know. But anyways, he escapes from the mental institution and Loomis has got to chase after him. He's headed towards Haddonfield. You don't know why. Well, I mean, he lived there, but whatever. And then, so he's got to go after, Loomis has got to go after Mike, and Mike's, killing shit. Anyways, and later on you find out that it's actually his sister, but you don't find out that until part 2, but you already know all this. So let's just have some fun. Maybe I'll start off by taking a look at some of the characters.
This story doesn't work without the character-driven aspect of the movie. The issue I have with slashers that come out now is the flair that they put into them. Halloween just relies on the mystery of Michael's motive, his abilities, and his elusiveness throughout the movie. Loomis has all the narrative needed to drive the story home.
I mean, you actually never want him to get out.
Never.
But that's Loomis for you. I mean, he's the strongest character in the movie, even more so than Michael Myers, sorry, for me, because, his dialogue's the best. Mike dialogue, not so much. Loomis, obviously he talks. So, anyways, but he drives home the plot, which is really good. But you know what? Before I even get there, there's some things I ponder about when it comes to this movie. Like, for one, nobody looks after the kids. Nobody could give less than a shit what's going on. Just to start off in the movie, Mike's sister's kind of supposed to be looking after him. It's Halloween. I don't know if he went out or didn't go out or whatever. Rob Zombie's thing kind of, I guess, filled in that gap that didn't need to be filled in the first place. But anyway, she's just letting him wander around the house, like, whatever. I guess Mike's, I don't know how old he's, how old is he? But anyways, whatever, who cares? So he's walking around the house or whatever, he's peeking in, his sister's like, making out with this dude. She couldn't give less than a shit. She goes upstairs to, get her hanky-panky on. And Mike's just sitting there like watching this whole thing. Judith Myers, so that's Mike's sister. So just a little quick thing on Judith and her boyfriend. They go upstairs, right? And Mike's coming and all that, yeah. But I timed it. So they go upstairs, I'm looking at the time. They go upstairs for 1 minute and 27 seconds. So how fast was the sex? I mean, maybe they did other things, or it was a no-go, or I don't know. 1 minute 27, that's all I'm saying, okay? By the way, I love this part.
I gotta go.
Will you call me tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Promise?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no call coming. I mean, just like putting a shirt on. Like, yeah, I'll call you. I'll call you. After 1 minute and 27 seconds, I don't know what he's calling, but use your imagination on that one. I'm not sure how that played out because it was pretty quick. So anyways, so Mike goes up and he's like, maybe she has like hairy armpits or something, and he started, and he's like kissing her, and he's like, whatever, and he's like, I gotta go, and maybe that's the 1:27. So that's just a theory off thought, or maybe she doesn't, no, she wouldn't have gotten her pants off in time. It's just too much. Anyways, I shouldn't run on about that. The call you part was really hilarious. That was the tops. So anyway, so Mike goes upstairs, right? Throws on the mask, goes and starts cutting her up and whatever. We all love that part of the movie. It's pretty vicious, actually. I love how he like turns and he's like admires his strokes. There's more strokes than that guy got in 1 minute and 27 seconds, I'll tell you that. Loomis completely sets the tone in the car. I mean, like, he's so intense and stuff like that. And then the nurse, the nurse is in the car. She's the nurse from H2O. I'm sure the Halloween fans out there that are hardcore know this, whatever. Anybody else kind of think she's like a little bit cute? Like, even in her old age, she's not bad, but I don't know. But she's. What else did I write down here in my perspective video? Yeah, and all the inmates are out and stuff like that, and that's, whatever. That's how Mike gets out. He does the jump on the car and vroom, he takes off, right? But how did all the other guys get out? In fact, how did Mike get out? Like, they do that. You kind of explain it, in Rob Zombies. There's some holes there too. But like, was there like an electrical failure and like all the cell doors open? Like, how did Mike plan this to work up to Halloween? So in some respects, they kind of gloss over that, and you never really question it. But I kind of question it, and wouldn't. It's kind of like Arkham, and Batman when they go to the Narrows and like everybody's released, and then there's all these convicts and stuff out, whatever, and like. Be weird to see like Scarecrow or so. Actually, Scarecrow would be suiting for Halloween because it's got the same sort of archetype. But anyways, like, where did they go and stuff like that? And then the other weird thing is, how is this not like in the paper like the next day, like all over the place, like, inmate escapes, and Michael freaking Myers from our town is now loose. Like, I mean, it's a big story. Haddonfield's not huge, right? So like, why isn't the kid that killed his sister? Remember that really big event that happened? Yeah, he's out in the loose. They don't even cover it. Then Loomis goes to town. They're like, yeah, Mike Myers, yeah, he's coming to town. All right, well, we'll look into it or what. Like, no, that's serious. That'd be like, oh, Charles Manson came out. Oh, you see, or not came out. Mike, or Manson's out. Oh yeah, what was that? He was the guy that, like, what the? That's a big story, man. Like, why don't they believe this? Loomis, it reminds me of Elm Street, where they don't believe, but it's not the exact same thing, but okay, fine, whatever. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole Elm Street thing because the perspective videos on that kind of drove that point home, but so, cool, whatever. For some reason, nobody knows or cares or whatever, and let's just roll on.
Now, Mike rolls up on that car pretty fast. It's the most agile I've seen him. From there on out, he's fairly robotic, but I like his shape in this one because it allows more flexibility, but that kind of fades out by part 4. It gets a little bit blocky after that. Anyway, the establishing shot of the Haddonfield street is great. There's a tranquility to it that contrasts the previous scene and enters you into the feel of the town. It's great stuff. I think this shot portrays an innocence that I suppose impacts how crazy the whole situation gets by contrast later on.
I don't know why, but it bothers me that like Laurie carries her books around like under her arm. It's like she's proud to be a nerd type of thing. I don't know, I just find it really obnoxious. Like, she's like walking to school, she's like, yeah, science, physics. I guess she's into like reading and stuff, like the Mary Shelley stuff. Maybe that'd be a small book, so it'd be kind of. But why do you get a freaking book bag, man? Like, it just drives me nuts. Or those kids that use those like tie-up things and they put around their shoe, like. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Linda, I can sum up with 2 words.
Totally.
And tits. That pretty much sums it up. So fine. And then there's this one shot which I actually think is actually really underrated, or underrated. The whole movie's rated very high. So, but one part that kind of gets overlooked that it just kind of clicked in when Laurie's walking down the street. And Laurie's singing this song.
I wish I had you all alone, just the 2 of us.
Mike's right on the edge, and it's kind of like, I wish I had you all alone, and it's kind of suiting. It's not really like a foreshadow, but it might be. I don't know if you count it as that. It's interesting, but interesting selection. And there's one more subtle thing that I'll bring up later that kind of connects in little weird ways. But that was kind of cool.
Laurie in this scene, she's in class, right? And she sees Michael outside just looking at her. She's so casual and about this like ridiculously freaky thing. Like, seriously, there's a dude in a mask staring at you. Now, how he knew which class she was in, I don't know. Maybe an interest in Mary Shelley's work. But anyways, the teacher's blabbering on, right? So Laurie takes another peek outside, and there he is again. Boy, that's sure out of the ordinary. What's that, teacher? Oh yeah, page 48. Like, hold on a second. Aren't you, like, the least bit alarmed? Laurie seems to accept the most odd things and just brushes it off like nothing. It's like when she's in her room and Mike disappears behind the sheets. Not just, I'm here and where'd I go? No, just plain poof, gone. She gets on the phone call. Granted, she's spooked, but she's like, yeah, a freaky thing's just happened, so whatever, let's talk about tonight. Okay.
But hey, that's Laurie. I mean, I guess she thinks like hallucinating is like totally like natural, and she's cool with it. With like the weirdest shit ever. Like, wouldn't you freak out over that? I have no idea. And then the part with the school, you see the sign, tickets for sale. What tickets? For the dance? You gotta pay to get into your own dance? I don't know. I've never had to pay to get into a dance at school. And if I did, then I'm kind of Laurie on this one, where I know she wants to go to the dance with Ben Tramer or whatever. He gets smoked in number 2, man. Bam, that was awesome. It's so obvious it wasn't Mike 2, it was the blonde hair, man, come on. But what do they know? So Laurie's walking down the street, right?
Oh, look.
Look where?
Behind the bush.
What do you expect? Do you think she has X-ray vision or something? How the... She can't see behind the bushes, so I don't even know what you're talking about. And then, so, of course, the scene, she goes, and then Mike's not there, and then he appears in the background as she's walking away, so how he got around, whatever. I mean, that's just Mike, right? He makes it from one area to the other, no problem. So she's dawdling along, and then she bumps into Annie's father. Now, Annie's father's kind of a perv. He's like, you know, oh, sorry, Laurie, didn't mean to scare you, and all that stuff, and like, whatever, he seems like a normal dude. And then she like kind of like turns to walk away, and I'll show the clip. Alright, you seeing this? Okay, I don't know how long that took, so hopefully that matches up in editing. But he's totally like, he checked out her ass, man. He totally did. He absolutely, and she's the same age as his daughter, man. That guy's a total perv. He shouldn't be sheriff, man. He shouldn't be sheriff. This guy isn't. This guy's probably relying on Mike to drive these teens out naked. I don't want to get on that theory because I don't know. Maybe that's bad for this video. Alright, now this part I actually have to read because I don't have this memorized like I do the movie. But there's this part, so Laurie, you know, she sees Mike and like he disappears and she's like, oh, that's kind of spooky, so I'll back away from the window and then answer a phone call, get a little bit creeped out, but everything's cool. If you saw somebody disappear in front of you, like, you'd be... Anyways, let me get to this part. So in the background there's a painting, right? And the guy's name is James Ensor. So it says that. This is kind of neat. And yes, I do have to read this. So I looked him up, right? So he did a bunch of like these creepy paintings, including paintings that were dominated by like odd masks. So obviously Mike with the mask, whatever. I thought it was really suiting. It's like one of those fine little details. I just had this hunch that painting was subtle in some way because it was kept in the frame, and it just seemed like, well, why is that? Why did they position it that way? So I looked the guy up, and sure enough, it's a subtle little thing. So I always appreciate those subtle little, fun little things that you look up in the background that suit the movie. And I mean, what detail? Because it wouldn't have mattered what painting they put up at all. Like you could put up, you know, what's that, Starry Night? I don't know my paintings. I'm gonna get exposed for lack of culture here, but whatever. Anyways, so back to the movie. So they're driving around town, right? And Mike's in this, security car or whatever it is, and he's following them like if this is the car, like this is their, if this is their car, and they have the smaller car. So he's like this far behind them the whole way, and they don't even notice. He's like taking detours and like, like, wouldn't you notice this car that's been following you going like, and they're not even going fast. They're going like, 20. And anyway, so whatever. They should notice. And besides, if you look in the rear view mirror and there's this like dude with a white mask, the same dude that was outside your freaking classroom, like, I don't know, they're just oblivious. Whatever. What the hell else did I write here? This is a big thing, so I'm always writing shit down on all my thoughts. But it never ceases to amaze me. It's like in Elm Street, the house on the block. It's completely the Myers house. It's so run down, right? Like, what is the real estate company thinking? First of all, it's like Elm Street, the neighbors would complain. Like, this house is a mess. The market value is going down. I don't want to turn this into like an economic thing or whatever. But how are you going to sell this house? You're going to walk people in and be like, well, it has a really lived-in feel to it. It's very homely. It's warm, the neighbors are nice, and oh yeah, by the way, there was a massacre here. Well, not a massacre, but there was a murder here, and the psycho guy, yeah, he escaped last night. He's not coming. It's totally cool. How do you like the house? What the fuck, man? Looks like shit. So everybody sets up plans for the night. So Annie's just trying to get out of babysitting to get laid, basically. And Laurie's taking care of all the brats and whatever. So she kind of gets stuck. Again, maybe that's where the whole virgin thing started. I don't know, because Laurie definitely has never been laid in the other two. Definitely open season. Well, at least with Linda. So Annie's out trying to like get with this guy Paul, singing this stupid song at one point. Do you remember that? Oh, Paul. Anyways, so Linda's being Linda, and so whatever. One part that's really cool is Lindsay sits down and she's watching the thing. So like the spaceship comes down, it goes into I guess Antarctica. Something with the first one. So John Carpenter got to do this. Oh, the thing, it comes like peering through space. It's freaking awesome. I love this movie. That's the opening thing to it. It's a great movie, and then like goes into like this Antarctic winter 1982. I guess E.T. showed up like a year earlier or some shit. But you see like the isolation there. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like the isolation that John Carpenter did with Laurie Strode's Street, I guess, a bit in Halloween. And speaking of which, I better get back to the perspective video. So the night's planned, right? We got Annie going to get laid, Linda's doing Linda's thing, Laurie's taking care of the kids, and everything's about to unfold, right? And one sec. Hello? Yeah. What the? Everybody's always phoning me while they're having sex. Like, now Mike's going full tilt at this point in the movie. He runs into Bob, right? And this is where he really displays some of his power. Because he comes in, grabs him by the throat, pushes him towards the door, lifts him up, right? And then just, bam, stabs him with the knife. But one thing I always kind of wondered was, he takes away, he takes his hands off of him. He does that kind of like cool like head tilt thing. I guess I'll show a little bit of it here because it's just freaking awesome. But then I started wondering, what's really holding him up? The knife? Like, did he put it all the way through him? And if so, that's a strong knife, man. Like, it's a great Cutco advertisement. They should have gotten in on that. And maybe he could have actually, no, he'd make a really bad Cutco salesman because I guess your clientele would be in a little bit of trouble. Maybe you could telemarket for them. No, the talking thing. But come to think about it, Loomis, I don't know why he's on him, man. Like, he's using at least, like, you're just trying to get the guy better at some point. At least he's using his skills to go out there and do something. Like, what else is he supposed to do? This is his thing. This is his talent. It's his passion. And Annie again. By the way, you had to know this girl was doomed from the start. I mean, she got stuck in a window that a freaking toddler could get out of. I'm glad she's dead. I'm glad she's dead, like many other characters. Because if you can't get through a window like that and you're getting stuck behind the thing, like, just forget it, man. That character was doomed from the start, or at least from that point on. The second she couldn't get out of the window, I was like, okay, you are fucked for the rest of the movie, no doubt. Like, I mean, Lindsay had to show up and help her out. Like, for Christ's sake, you can't protect the kids. So Mike with all the classic kills from this movie, which I don't think I need to go over them because you've seen all of them, and there's only a few, but the classics from that, they're not the best kills in the world, but I like Bob's the best, and Linda, well, because whatever, but I don't have to go over those. Those are classic kills, but one thing I will say is the faces. The freaking faces are hilarious. First of all, there's Annie in the car, which is the most, it's the worst face you could make while dying. It's comical. It's really comical. And then Laurie goes up to the house, and you got Annie laying there in the bed, but then you see the open eyes of Bob when he swings down. I don't know why everybody has their eyes open when they die. Maybe Mike does the opposite of like the penny coin thing. That whatever, it's a different thing. And then Linda's face is hilarious too. Anyways, I love that part in the faces because it's priceless. It really is priceless. And Annie, I don't feel for her at all. She's an absolute goof. I mean, and I don't know. I guess she had like kind of like a butt shot. That's not a good butt shot, man. If you want a good butt shot, this is a good butt shot. And then the kids that show up at Mike's house. I kind of wanted them to die. I know I'm mean to kids in horror movies, but I'm sick of them getting spared. Now, they were mean, man. They're mean to Tommy. They're mean people. I don't like them. So I was kind of hoping for like some sort of kill. Not like Toxic Avenger, where like the kids on the street and the guys, I don't have a clip of it, but like where they back up and they run over the kid's head. Maybe I'll do that movie sometime because that's fucking hilarious. It was just a watermelon, by the way. But yeah, I wanted them to die. So what? There's one super fucked up piece of dialogue that I never hear anybody talk about.
Then you rip my clothes off, then we rip Lindsay's clothes off. Yeah, I think I got it.
Did he say tear Lindsay's clothes off? That is so messed up. Like, I don't know if this was a slip up or something or whatever, but don't correct me if I'm wrong. Is Lindsay not the girl that kind of is like 10 years old? And so that one just and it just gets brushed by. I never hear anybody talk about this, but he clearly said, we'll rip your clothes off and then we'll rip Lindsay's clothes off. Well, first of all, she's not babysitting the fucking kid in the first place because she wants to go nail you, this weird guy that looks like some geekier version than, Ted Danson. But whatever. So whatever, is irresponsible. It's a good thing that she didn't keep Lindsay with her for numerous reasons, but rip Lindsay's clothes off. Does he know who Lindsay is? Maybe he doesn't know, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that, because that's kind of Nightmare on Elm Street 2010-esque. I don't know how else to explain it. Tommy Tommy annoys me in a lot of ways because he's just this, why at the beginning, and then the boogeyman, he's kind of annoying then too. But he dresses up as Luke Skywalker. One, pretty cool. Two, he ends up in bed with Lindsay. Now, hey, Luke Skywalker, the best he could do was kiss his friggin' sister. So eat your heart out, Luke, because this kid ended up in bed at like a young age. He's already a stud with a girl that shockingly looks like Winnie from The Wonder Years. It's a good show.
In all seriousness, though, the movie is a classic. The dialogue from Loomis does drive home the movie. The usage of Mike as the shape and the luring of the background gives it a feel that requires a lot of vocabulary about mood and atmosphere that's already known to the fans of the series. This carried on throughout the series, but I think over time, the speeches of Loomis and the flashes of eerie stock scenes with Michael wore a bit thin, only appearing to be successful in limited parts in movies that followed the series. It's a simple story. A man escapes an institution to kill teens. Unknown and inserted later in part 2 was the motive. I'll talk about that in the next perspective. There are always things to pick on with slashers, which makes them a lot of fun to do. It's the perfect movie to sit down with anytime you feel like a decent ride. Hopefully Halloween 3 in 2016 or 17 or whenever they're going to bring this thing out will bring some of that back. I look at the shot where Mike rises behind Laurie and when he emerges from the dark doorway and say, now that's freaking Halloween. Smashing through vans and things like that just don't seem like Michael to me. The closest scene and others where the proximity of Michael is known to be close, but you're unsure of where he is, the suspense we loved about the series, not the gore. In fact, this movie isn't even that gory. A little blood, a couple stabs, no biggie. It shows you that you don't need gore to pull off a great classic.
So there's a lot of funny shit that I could get into with this movie that would be absolutely endless. So this could be like an hour long. Like Lindsay totally not giving a shit about what's going on around her the whole movie. Like literally, she could give less than a shit. There's stuff going on. She's just like watching the thing and ignoring everybody. Or that shit pumpkin. But anyways, my rambles can get way too specific and it can go on forever, so I'll leave it there. But I promised you the Halloween perspective, so am I excited for part 2?
Totally.
See you then. Take care.